you have been ragging on Democrats constantly. Why not come to the table personally and sit with them? I mean, I know that Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer were in the Oval Office in December 2018. That did not go so well. Everybody in the world saw that. Why not invite them? If they don't want to come, that's on them.
So I think we've done very well. We've had 3 phases. We're into phase 4. We've gotten everything we wanted. And we've also gotten a great economy. All you have to do is take a look at these charts. Our economy is doing good, but we want different things than them. I want money for the people. They want money to bail out Democrat governors and Democrat mayors. Listen to me, listen to me. My people are doing very good, and my people call me. They're in the office, they call me when it's right. Nobody knows the deal better than I do. When it's right, I'll meet, but right now it's not right. They want $1 trillion to bail out badly run states. They're Democrat. They're Democrat states. Will something happen? Possibly. But I want to tell you, the country is doing very well right now. We can live very happily with it, without it. Take a look at Kamala. They want to destroy the Second Amendment. And as you know, Joe has no control over anybody. He has no control over himself. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Negative attacks and the one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump.
There's a lot of really talented people we have out there. Kamala Harris, you got Cory Booker, you got the former mayor of Massachusetts. You got a lot of.
And I'm proud to call my friend, a man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America. Look. Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. Science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. And so, folks,
I watched what happened when the kids from Parkland marched up to, and I met with them, and then they went off to up on the hill when I was vice president. They went off the hill to go into those neighborhoods. All those congressmen were like, "No, I'm not here. I'm not here. Don't tell them I'm around."
I'm part of that Obama coalition. I come out of the black community in terms of my support. If you notice, I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me because they know me. They know who I am. 3 former chairs of the Black Caucus, the only African-American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate, a whole range of people.
No,
my point is,
that's not true. The other one is here.
I said the first. I said the first.
Well, yesterday you said you accepted Bernie's apology and now you're attacking him. Why are you doing that? Why wasn't his apology enough, Mr. Vice President? Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down.
Let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take an IQ test. Number two. Look, Fat, look, here's the deal.
Go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. Thank you very much. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other by.
It's a good question. Number one, I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
Governor Mike DeWine in Ohio, Governor Larry Hogan in Maryland, Governor Charlie Parker in Massachusetts, Gavin Newsom in California, Jay Inslee in Washington, hard hit.
I'm going to beat Joe Biden.
150 million people have been killed since 2007 when Bernie voted to exempt the gun manufacturers from liability. Not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear work. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. It would put It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. It would increase the GDP, to sound like a wonk here, by about 0.8%.
When Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King had been assassinated in the 70s. My name's Joe Biden. I'm running for, in this case, running for President of the United States. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other person. I just spoke at Dartmouth on health care at the medical school, or not, I guess I wasn't actually on the campus, but the people from the medical school were at the, I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. I'm not sure whether it was a medical school or where the hell I spoke, but it was on the campus. Because they invaded another country and annexed a significant portion of it called Crimea. Right. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
Bruh.
Biden, if elected, you would turn 82 at the end of your first term. You'd be the oldest president in American history.
Are you willing, Churchill?
Are you willing to commit American history?
Oh, American history.
Yes. Are you?
I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay.
We have to look to the future. Bernie understands that, and Joe understands that. It's one of the reasons that Joe already has what is the most progressive platform of any major party nominee in history.
That the spirit of looking out for one another can't be restricted to our homes or our workplaces or our neighborhoods or our houses of worship. It also has to be reflected in our national government. The kind of leadership that's guided by knowledge.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
And experience, honesty and humility.
He also says now that he opposed the Iraq War as soon as it started.
From the moment shock and awe started, from that moment, I was opposed to the effort and I was outspoken.
A complete fabrication. Here he is several months after the invasion began, praising both the war and George Bush.
Some of my own party have said that it was a mistake to go to Iraq in the first place. But the cost of not acting against Saddam, I think, would have been much greater. The President of the United States is a bold leader and he is popular.
Again, Biden just makes stuff up.
Empathy and grace.
Kent State, 17 kids shot dead. And so the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break. Because here's the deal, guys. We decided we were going to change the world, and we did. We did. We finished this.
That kind of leadership doesn't just belong in our state capitals and mayor's offices. It belongs in the White House.
But Biden also lied about his grades.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. The first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom 2/3 of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
In fact, he graduated 76th in a law school class of 85 students. Oh dear, pretending that you're smarter than you are and inflating your academic success. Who does that remind you of?
I've also heard I was first in my class at the Wharton School of Finance.
Look, saying the former vice president is not as dishonest or as deluded as the current president is just not good enough. It isn't. It's lowering the bar beyond belief. And the evidence is in. Joe Biden has a habit of making things up.
And that's why I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States. Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made, and he became a close friend. And I believe Joe has all the qualities we need in a president right now. He's someone whose own life has taught him how to persevere, how to bounce back.
All right, Sagar, what's on your radar?
Well, every time I see President Obama shilling hard for Joe Biden's presidency, I really can't help but laugh, because it was an open secret in the Democratic primary that until the moment he decided to call it for Biden, Obama absolutely did not want to see his former vice president become the Democratic nominee. And even while he was president, he and his team made it clear as day they didn't exactly like him, and they especially did not want him to be the carrier of the Obama legacy. Now, Now, a Politico piece in detail demonstrates that Obama, despite garnering millions of working class votes in 2008 and 2012, fundamentally held working class voters in contempt. And worse, he held in high esteem the very people who made his election possible in 2008 and who he purported to run against at the time. Nearly from the start of his presidency, as detailed in this piece, Obama turned his head up at Joe Biden, who had at least some semblance of working class understanding at the time, and instead turned to Hillary Clinton, the Pod Bros, people in his administration who ended up going to go work for Beto O'Rourke's presidential campaign. Now, the piece describes in detail how Obama sneered at Biden behind closed doors, how many of his advisors laughed at Biden openly and often behind his back. Biden and his team were aware of this, and despite it, Biden was deeply loyal as vice president to Obama, frequently disagreed with Obama's penchant for giving lofty speeches, but refusing to actually try and get anything done in Washington by glad-handing or even, playing politics. But all that loyalty didn't really add up to much. Obama absolutely refused to turn over the reins to him in 2015. He had a better relationship with Hillary Clinton, and he all but edged Joe Biden out of that race in 2016 when he was thinking about running. A race I now think most people would agree would have at the very least been more competitive. Reporting that former President Obama had actually spoken with Bernie Sanders several times ahead of his decision in order to end the campaign. And at the same time that this story came out, you also saw former President Obama's people basically leaking to MSNBC and to other outlets that he would be, entering the political stage in due time. So this finally releases Obama from his I'm not going to endorse cage into the point where he can actually get out on the campaign trail and campaign for Joe Biden. But really, you can put these two things together. We know from the very beginning that the coalescing of the establishment around Joe Biden at that time was very much tied to Barack Obama also making phone calls to Pete Buttigieg. That was another thing. And then there was I think there was reporting that he had sent the signal out to Biden world and to everybody else, back Joe.
Yeah.
So
very clever, because it would have been incredibly heavy-handed for him to come out, to endorse Joe, to actively say negative things about Bernie. He'd sort of say these passive-aggressive comments that you kind of took as a shot at Bernie. People around him leaked that if Bernie looked like he was going to win, then he might have to get involved and do something. But he was able to work behind the scenes to, after Joe won South Carolina, orchestrate and help to orchestrate everything. We know he called Pete Buttigieg and others at that time to get them to drop and jump in behind Joe. And just remember that moment in time. Bernie won, or effectively won, Iowa, New Hampshire.
Good evening. I'm Howie Hawkins. I'm the Socialist Party nominee for president and leading in the Green Party primaries for the Green Party nomination for president. And I want to talk tonight briefly about our next steps now that Bernie Sanders has suspended his campaign. Bernie's going to remain on the ballot to gather delegates, for the platform fight at the Democratic Convention. But let's be realistic. Joe Biden opposes the progressive reforms that Bernie Sanders advocated. He said he would veto Medicare for all. Biden's Green New Deal was an order of magnitude less in public spending than Bernie Sanders, or the one I'm advocating. And the economic human rights in Bernie's economic Bill of Rights are not anywhere on Biden's agenda. Biden earned millions of votes because he advocates these progressive reforms. He put democratic socialism back into the political debate. It used to be a conversation stopper, and now it's a conversation starter. So I'm inviting Bernie Sanders supporters to join our campaign tonight. We are going to keep fighting for these progressive reforms through the November election and beyond. The fight for a socialist transformation is more critical than ever now because we face this COVID-19 crisis, the climate crisis, the new nuclear arms race. I'm the only presidential candidate even talking about that life or death issue, and I have nuclear disarmament initiatives to address it. And we have the long-growing racial and economic inequality that has been raising working class mortality. These are life or death issues that require real solutions, socialist solutions. Bernie deserves praise for fighting for the 99%, but it was not on the agenda embraced by the leadership of the Democrats. They just are not going for that. Voters are left with a miserable choice between the major party candidates: Donald Trump, the racist incompetent, and Joe Biden, the neoliberal hawk. To settle for Biden as the lesser evil is to join the opposition of the corporate establishment to Medicare for all, a full-strength Green New Deal, and an economic bill of rights to end poverty and economic despair. We are running out of time on the pandemic, climate, nuclear arms, and deadly poverty and economic despair. Real solutions can't wait. So here's what I'm asking you to do tonight. Go to howiehawkins.us, our campaign website. Sign up to volunteer, make a donation. We're funding this Bernie Sanders style. Lots of small donations from lots of people. This is a bottom-up campaign. Don't wait for instructions from our campaign. Take your own initiatives. Promote the campaign on social media. Call your fellow activists and work your networks. And join with us to continue the fight for socialist solutions through the November election and beyond. Let's keep the revolution alive. Let's fight for our future. Thank you.
There's an invisible contract we all signed at birth, a promise. Every hour we work means longer days of freedom and security. It paved the road in your neighborhoods, and it added up to a country. But when crisis hit, Trump's government abandoned America. We asked what we could do for our country. They looked for what they could take. But there's a truth written in every history book. If you break the sacred contract, the people make a revolution. All across America, the essential people are demanding a new deal. Well, they call me the deal maker.
Ed Markey's desk was thrown out in the hall by the State House bosses. Markey's bill is now the law.
I'm Ed Markey. I'm running for Congress because I want to fight for the principles that I believe in. The bosses may tell me where to sit. No one tells me where to stand.
My father was a union leader. He taught me, don't beg for your rights, organize and take them. So in January, I was the first senator to write to Trump. I warned him we needed a plan. I talked to the Democrats and the Republicans. I told them, we've got to save the fishermen. A month later, we had $300 million for our fishing industry. Trump wanted to cheap out, but I helped negotiate $600 a week for any American struggling to find their next gig. They thought the son of a milkman couldn't learn the rules. I made new ones. I don't need to get on the phone and talk to lobbyists to know what working people think. I get on the streets and I listen.
I've got a question for 1 million people. Do you want to freeze the arms race?
I put the deal on the table, but the people make it impossible to refuse. With 500 laws on the books, you think I'm going to stop now? They wish.
Green New Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey introduced their Green New Deal
to stop climate change and create millions of good jobs in the process.
We got to absolutely crush Donald Trump in November. But if we're going to end this era of chaos, that won't be enough. We got to make sure President Biden signs the Green New Deal. We can't wait.
You've got to have folks in the United States Senate who are willing to stand up for working people. That's who Ed Markey is. I need Ed Markey in the United States Senate.
We asked what we could do for our country. We went out. We did it. With all due respect, it's time to start asking what your country can do for you.
$1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store and in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. What happened?